What's good, peeps? All right, let's get this done. Q&A part 15, I believe. Apologies that it's really, really late. I've just been quite busy. Yeah, and I know that this takes nearly 2 hours. I say 2 hours. It takes 2 hours to just record it, and then I've got to watch it. I watch the whole thing again, so that's another 2 hours. And then I have the slowest fucking MacBook in the world. So to export it takes another, I'll say another 2 hours, more than that probably, about 3 hours. And then to upload it, the Wi-Fi is not bad, but it's a big file to upload it. So like 2 hours. So it is like an 8-9 hour process. That's why I've not had like an 8-9 hour block. So I'm filming this and I'm going to quickly go to the gym. So I'm filming it. I'm going to watch it, upload it, and as I'm uploading it, be in the gym, and hopefully by the time I finish gym, it's uploaded. You get what I mean? As I'm trying to find the questions, quick one. I was supposed to interview Floyd Mayweather yesterday. This guy reached out to me and said, "Ade, what are you doing?" I was like, "Absolutely nothing. Do you fancy interviewing Floyd Mayweather?" Yes. So I went down to York Hall, Bethnal Green, went with my sister and a good friend of mine called Kwame. Yeah, and they didn't let us film. Floyd's manager came up to us and said, "Sky don't have permission," or we told Sky that Floyd's not doing any media. I was like, "Fuff." And I was going to try and hustle it, but then they said my cameraman has to go because obviously he's got a huge camera. If he had like a little Coogan IFL type camera, maybe he kind of sneaks in and I get backstage, but he had obviously a massive camera. So in the end, I should have stayed, but I just thought, let me just go as well. I was very annoyed. I was thinking, I'm going to get to interview Floyd. It didn't happen. All right, let's go to the questions because I'm waffling on here. I know a couple came through by email. Let's have a look at which ones came in by email. Apologies, I should be more organized. I'm doing this first thing in the morning, by the way. I've not even had a fresh. Hi, Ade. Well done for smashing it as always. That Sky interview with Dillian, laughing still cracks me up. It's a good interview, isn't it, that one? That's actually a good interview. Sorry, this is from, who sent this in? Jam Murdo. So James Murdo sent this in. He says, before my question, can I please have a shameless plug? I'm a sci-fi author and would like to send you a signed copy of my latest release called Sucho Remembers. Hit me up with your address if you'd like it. Absolutely. That's not a shameless plug. I always like knowing what everyone does. Like, I'm not joking. I get so many emails from subscribers and it's weird, like, when you got so many different people from different backgrounds watching your channel. I just find it weird. So that's definitely not a shameless plug. Guys, sci-fi author James Murdo, check him out. www.jamesmurdo, spell MURDO.com. His question is, your thoughts on the following matchups, please. Very different. Dave Coldwell versus Adam Booth. Has Adam Booth actually boxed professionally or as an amateur before? I'm not sure. So I'm going with Dave Coldwell. Although Booth looks a bit tougher, Dave Coldwell is a proven boxer. He has fought before, so I'm going with him. This is a good one. Dom Ingle versus John Fury. I'm going John Fury. John Fury looks like a massive, massive man. Dom Ingle looks in good shape, but I'm going for John Fury. I mean, wasn't he in jail for taking someone's eye out or something? I'm going with that guy all day long. The third one's interesting. McGuigan versus Ben Davison. McGuigan does just look in great shape, doesn't he? He looks solid. Looks very solid, so I'm going with him. Good questions, those. Ryan Z. Let's have a look. Let's see what he says. Hi, Ade. I have a few questions. How good do you think Tarver was? And how do you think in his prime he would do against the guys like Steve Cunningham? Different weight class, Steve. Remember, Steve Cunningham was pretty much a cruiserweight. Andre Ward Kovalev, Hopkins in their prime. I know he fought some of these guys, but they were past their best, and so was he. How would he do against those guys? He'll match up very well against all of them. Tarver's unlucky because obviously he had those fights with Roy Jones Jr., but then the excuse was obviously that Roy Jones, it's not an excuse, that Roy Jones went up in weight and came down, which is very true. He did for that Ruiz fight, put on a lot of muscle, then had to boil it down and boil a lot down as well. Something like 20 or 25 pounds or something, which is all muscle. So it's always going to be difficult for him. Apologies for that. Yeah, I think Tarver would do well against all of these guys. I don't know if he'd beat those guys because, I mean, you've named three of like sort of the best light heavyweights of this generation. So I don't know if he'd beat them, but he'd do well against them. Yeah. But I will say this though. Obviously, you put Bernard Hopkins in there. That was Tarver. There was no excuse. That was a very good Tarver against Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins was just better. So he would do well. I don't know if he'd beat them all. Lennox Lewis says the bigger man always beats the smaller man every day. What do you think? Yeah, I think what Lennox meant was a good big man beats a good small man. I 100% agree with that. Right? Size is such an important factor in boxing. I think we saw it the other day with Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. Something that a lot of people are not speaking about is that Tyson Fury had something like 40 pounds on Deontay Wilder. It's massive. It's a massive amount of weight. So, yeah, the good big man would always beat the good small man. I'm with him on that. Obviously, if you have a very, very good small man like a Pacquiao and a Loma coming up in weight, then, yeah, their attributes almost carry up and they're just that good. But if it's good versus good and then there's a size element, you're always going to go with the bigger guy. What do you think of Stephen A. Smith when talking about boxing and MMA? Not a fan of it. I understand why he does it. He is Mr. ESPN after all, but they do have Max Kellerman there. Andre Ward jumps in sometimes. For MMA, they have got Ariel Helwani now that knows a bit more, obviously, a lot more, sorry. Chael Sonnen as well. So I don't know why he has to be sort of the microphone, the voice, but I understand because of his following and because he's obviously getting paid bucks. So they want him doing a lot of stuff. Look, what I will say about this though is I don't know much about basketball, not much. If Sky messaged me today and said, Ade, we've got an NBA game, do you think you could help us out in, I don't know, 2 weeks' time? I'm not going to say no because my NBA knowledge isn't up to scratch. I'm going to try and research, if I'm being honest with you, I'm going to try and research and get that gig. Obviously, Stephen A. Smith is obviously in a different position to me. He is the man, but because you're not an expert or what people like to say is an expert at a subject doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to talk about it, right? Because we do have some so-called experts in boxing that talk absolute shit. It's true and get everything wrong. So I don't know. I'm not that anti it like some people are. All right. Do I have any more email questions? Oh, okay. We've got oh wait, we've got a couple more. No, we've got one more. Stephen Flowers. I feel like this question is going to come up a lot. I just saw a brief bit of it. Stephen Flowers says, is the DAZN news good for boxing in the UK or should Matchroom shows stay on Sky? Remember ITV Digital. Guys, you remember ITV? I don't know how old you guys are watching this, but ITV showed their boxing. Is the DAZN news good for boxing in the UK? Don't know. I will say this though. I mean, everyone's acting like Sky are gonna die. Like Sky. I mean, do we know how big Sky is? Sky is huge. I'm not just saying it because I sometimes work there, but Sky is massive. I don't think DAZN are gonna come and that's it. Everyone's oh, Sky boxing is dead. No, it doesn't work like that. It'd be interesting though, because Eddie Hearn has come out and said that they are re-upping their contract with Sky. Adam Smith has come out and said they are re-upping their contract with Sky. So we'll wait and see. But look, I think Sky will fight it out with DAZN. Trust me. The only thing I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. It's all about Matchroom, isn't it? because it's all about Matchroom. Where is the zone? I've gone into America and I found it quite difficult, but that's because there is obviously PBC over there. There's Top Rank over there. So there's other big boxing institutions over there. We don't have that over here. We really only have Matchroom. Let's be honest. I mean, Queensbury, Frank Warren are doing okay, but they were BT Sports. So it's all about Matchroom, right? Matchroom literally have all the cards right now, and Eddie Hearn is in a good position. All right, let's go to the YouTube. Richard Michael says, love the vids ad. 2 questions. Will you ever get Hatman on the show? And can you and G-Man do another video? I liked your last one. I don't know about Hatman. I would happily do it. I mean, did I reach out to him? I think I sent him a DM on Twitter. Didn't get back to me. What can you do? So we'll see. Obviously, it's good at what he does. He's got a huge following. It's not even a following because I don't really care about that. I just think he's good at what he does. When he's not talking about Wilder Fury and fucking Joshua, he is as knowledgeable as anyone out there. Trust me. And I would actually like to see Hatman do more videos about sort of the British scene and just other stuff, because again, his knowledge is quite scary. With regards to G-Man, obviously G-Man lives in Ireland, so not that easy, but yeah, when he comes over, absolutely. Leo Donald says, should the towel be thrown in more in MMA? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I've watched some MMA fights and I'm like, fucking hell. I mean, if you haven't seen Rory McDonald versus Robbie Lawler, go and watch it. That is, you almost, and both, by the way, both of those guys never were the same after, but it's almost like they must be close to death. Like, I remember looking at it thinking, like, you know, like, and this is not even me taking a piss, like arcade games, like Street Fighter back in the day, where they have that life bar at the top. They were on they were on that bit, like, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Where it's yellow, then it turns to red, and then it's like death. To me, that's where they were. Scary. Does that answer your question? I don't even know. It does. Patman says, do you think it would be worse for Deontay Wilder's career to rematch Fury straight away, or to have 1 or 2 fights to get back on track, and then either rematch Fury or fight Joshua? Keep up the great work. Obviously, we know now that Deontay Wilder is taking the trilogy fight. Yeah, I think he should have swerved Fury, if I'm honest with you, and had a couple of, not even gimme fights, like one gimme fight, and then you fight someone in the top 15, top 10, and then he will get his chance again just because of the Al Heyman link, and he can maybe put it in the rematch clause that he gets his chance again, right? Look at Andy Ruiz Jr., for example. I know it's completely different because he's just a fat slob, but he's not even going for Luis Ortiz next. He says he wants someone and then Luis Ortiz. So he wants basically someone in around the top 15 and someone in the top 10. There's nothing wrong with taking a rematch. Sorry, nothing wrong with taking a gimme fight. There's nothing wrong with it. We've seen it twice now, and he's been beaten twice. And what do you do, right? What do you do? Malnourished Matty says, do you think cruiserweights are massively underrated because of how difficult the jump up to heavyweight is? Look how close Marco Huck came to beating a prime Povetkin before moving back down. That was a good fight, by the way. I don't think they're underrated. I mean, I don't think anyone underrates Alexander Usyk. If anything, I think we slightly overrate him, right? I mean, this guy was already considered a sort of top 5, top 6 heavyweight before even having a heavyweight fight. I just think the cruiserweight division for the last sort of 15 years has been a division, based in Europe. And unless it can get global recognition, it's almost going under the radar. So that's what it is. It's almost going under the radar more than being underrated, because I think we know there are some good cruiserweights out there. And as you talk about the jump, I mean, yes, that's a big jump, but then there's jumps as well from light heavy to cruiser. I mean, that's a massive jump. Light heavy to cruiser is almost too big a jump. I mean, cruiser to heavy is not a big jump at all, really. It's light heavy to cruiser that's the big one. Aya says, a few weeks ago, Hatman did a video saying that Andy Ruiz's weight situation isn't funny and that he has an eating disorder in the fact that he can't stop eating. And I didn't take it seriously, but good God, I think he's right. Did you see his interview on Fox? He looked so big and was sweating a lot. Do you think Andy needs to get serious help as soon as possible? No, not at all. I mean, it's not like he's at home doing nothing, eating, I mean, this guy is a professional heavyweight boxer. So he is active. He is active. I mean, those people that have eating disorders and are not active, those are the ones you need to be scared about. But Andy Ruiz is a heavyweight boxer. Andy Ruiz, for as fat as we say he is and overweight, he went 12 rounds of AJ. I mean, your average man on the street, including myself, couldn't go around. And I mean around in terms of I'll be blowing out of my arse. So he's okay. He just needs to take this serious. He just needs to take. He's not that. What did he weigh in again? Was it 283 pounds? I mean, we're talking lose 20 pounds. He can do that, and he will do that, I think. Stephen Blakely says, what was the first fight you ever watched? Mine was Pac-Man Margarita when I was 9. Geez, talk about make me feel old. Mine was that I understood properly Tyson Bruno, the first fight. What was that? 1989. So I was 8. So that's like understanding it and watching it and thinking, fuck me, what's going on here? Stranger Goonie says, hey Addy, it's been over a year since I asked you about your prediction on the Loma versus Lopez match. You predicted that Loma would dominate. Do you still think the same way about that matchup, or do you think Lopez will put up a similar fight like Luke Campbell did? I hope Loma gives that kid a boxing lesson and makes Lopez a part of the Nomaschenko club. Thank you and God bless. Your fan, Tatum from Guam. Oh, I remember you, dude. Just because I don't get any other messages from anyone in Guam. I think it's a lot closer. I do. I think we are starting to see a bit of wear and tear on Lomachenko. I think people are able to get to him now a bit more than they were before. For example, I gave Luke Campbell, you mentioned Luke Campbell, I gave Luke Campbell a 10% chance. That was definitely more than a 10% Luke Campbell fighting Vasyl Lomachenko. In saying that, styles do make fights. And Luke Campbell, I think technically is a better boxer than Teofimo Lopez. His amateur record kind of tells me that. Plus, he has really long levers. So I felt like Loma couldn't get in just because of those really long levers that Luke Campbell has. Teofimo Lopez doesn't have that. He's a bit more a bit more stocky and not as long levers. So I think Loma can get to him a lot quicker. In saying that, Lopez definitely has more power than Luke Campbell. Lopez, yes, is fine at 135, but it wouldn't shock me if we see him at 147 in sort of 3 or 4 years. He's a lot bigger than Vasyl Lomachenko. In saying that, Loma wins. I have no doubt in my mind that Loma puts up a boxing clinic and just dismantles this kid. Dismantles him. Superintendent Chalmers says, would you rather stay bald or have a ginger head of hair? Stay fucking bald. I'm actually quite lucky that my head shape isn't too fucked up. Because I've seen some people with bald heads and it's like lumps everywhere. So I'm lucky. So yeah, stay bald all day. James Paul says, all right, Addy, I've got a couple of fantasy matchups here. For the sake of this list, all of these fighters will be in their prime. Sorry in advance if I give a matchup that you've already answered. How many have you got here? Oh, God. Let's have a look. Alexander Usyk versus David Haye, cruiserweight. It's such a hard one to call, you know. Such a hard... I think I've answered this one before and I've been stuck. I've been stuck. Just because David Haye's power and speed and athleticism at cruiserweight is just through the roof. In saying that, Usyk is so calm and composed under pressure. And I can just see him eventually. I can see the first 4 or 5 rounds being hell for Usyk, right? David Haye catching him. And if David Haye doesn't get him out of there and that gas tank starts to empty, and it will empty, we've seen that with David Haye, I can see Usyk just starting to go through the gears, just start picking him off and stopping him late. Don't at me. Loma versus Manny Pacquiao. And what have you said here? 140 pounds. And it's the Manny Pacquiao coming to Rick Hattervick. Oh, Manny, 140. Manny Pacquiao. Loma's peaked out at 135. And that Manny, be a good fight, but that Manny Pacquiao at 140, the one that fucked up Ricky Hatton, was just too fast. I mean, God, how fast was that kid? And how strong was he? We know why. Vitaly Klitschko versus Tyson Fury. This is the one. This is the one. What I will say about this matchup, by the way, I'll go Vitaly. I do. Because Vitaly is as big, right? As big, can punch. yes, a bit flat-footed, but technically a good boxer as well. Technically a good boxer. So he's not going to make the mistakes that, for example, Deontay Wilder's making, where he's running back and his legs are all over. He ain't making that mistake. He stands in the pocket and trade. Not many people have outboxed Vitaly. In fact, I don't think anyone, including Lennox Lewis when they fought, has outboxed and outmanned and out-toughed Vitaly Klitschko. You're not psyching him out either. So all this thing that Tyson Fury does before a fight where he psychs you, he ain't psyching out Vitaly Klitschko. And before this Deontay Wilder knockout record came, Vitaly Klitschko was the hardest hitting heavyweight of all time. Go and check the record. So I'm going Vitaly. Vlad versus Lennox. I'm going Lennox. Bonus point if you spot the pattern. What pattern? Have you gone white versus black? It was like, oh, you gone Ukrainians. Oh yeah, okay, Ukraine versus the world. Bonus point, thank you. Darrell Carter says, why do you avoid doing that 220 kilo squat video, bro? What happened? And he's even laughing. He says LOOL, not even just LOL. So basically, Darrell Carter doesn't believe me, people. You know what it is? Someone asked me on the last Q&A, what's your max in terms of your highest weights? And I said bench, deadlift, and squat. Now, maybe it's just me, but you don't do your PB all the time, do you? Or do you? I don't know. I don't think that's possible. So every time I squat, I will chuck on 4 plates and I squat that. I haven't done 220 for a while, but I can definitely do 220 kilos. But again, that's a PB. You don't do your PB all the time, do you? If it was, it wouldn't be your PB. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But believe me, I can do it. I'm fucking strong. Mr. KWX Ben 1966 says, only one question. When's the meet and greet? You're a celeb now. Meet your audience. I am certainly not a celeb dude, but the meet and greet's in May. Box Park, Wembley, it's happening. I'm not a celeb. Although, I was smoking shisha the other day and someone recognized me and said, Ade. I was like, oh shit. Yeah, so maybe I am. BG London says, hello, hi mate. If your life depended on it, what tactics would you give Wilder to beat Tyson? Center of the ring, throw that right hand immediately. Don't try and even wait, just throw it. Don't try and think that you can have a standoff boxing match with Tyson Fury. Center of the ring, throw it immediately. Almost like a surprise, like bang. Don't wait. If you wait, you're fucked. Mr. KWX Ben 1966 says, I listened to part of the Les Ferdinand show. You did. I was on TalkSport with Les Ferdinand, by the way. Did you ask him about his Faustino Asprilla comments during the season that Newcastle should have won the league? I didn't. I don't even know what comments you're referring to, if I'm honest with you. We just talked about, what did we talk about? Sort of Ferdinand's career. So where he started out, then from QPR on loan to Besiktas, or he scored a load of goals actually. Then from obviously QPR to Newcastle, Tottenham. And we talked about England as well. And the fact that he only got, I think, how many caps did he get? I think like 17 or 18 caps for England. Les Ferdinand. That's crazy. That's crazy. When you think of some of the strikers now that have got like 50 caps that can't even lace his boots, as far as I'm concerned. More questions for Mr. KWX Ben, but I'm going to have to skip those just because I want to try and get everyone in. Don Dada says, when are you getting the elusive hat man on here? We'll try, people. I did say that before, that I've reached out to him on Twitter, but no joy. What can I do? Muffin says, what is love? That's a fucking good question, because I need to know, because I need to settle my ass down. Fruit Boy says, what level do you think Liam Williams can get to? I personally think he can get to a world title, if not a world title shot. Who wins for you on Hooker versus Prograis? It's a good fight. Do you watch rugby? It's funny you asked, do I watch rugby? Because when I think of my sporting heroes growing up, sorry, I'm answering this question backwards, but when I think of my sporting heroes growing up, one of my biggest sporting heroes was Jonah Lomu. So I don't watch rugby that much. I mean, when it's on, I will, but I'm not an avid fan, but he was one of my biggest sporting heroes. And it crushed me when he passed away. Hooker versus Prograis. I'm going Prograis. I think that Hooker's just too big at the weight. He struggles to make the weight. He was talking about moving up in weight after the Ramirez fight. He's staying, obviously, because this is a big fight. But I think Prograis looked very good against Josh Taylor. And Josh Taylor's a very, very good boxer. That was a great fight. That was one of, I think, my fights of the year. So I'm going Prograis for that one. As for Liam Williams, 160 ain't a joke, you know. 160 ain't a joke, bro. Ain't a joke at all, bro. You say world title. I mean, Demetrius Andrade, is that the route you're thinking? Charlo's got a version of a world title now. That route. Derevchenko's still floating around. Billy Joe Saunders can drop back down. Canelo can drop back down. Who's he going to beat? GGG's there. GGG's got a belt. I mean, who's he going to beat out of those lot? So, yes, he can get a world title shot. I believe he's a top 15. But, I mean, the jump from world title shot to actually winning a world title is a big one. There's some good guys up there. Sheriff Bigley, 1787, says, hey, Ade. So, like about 3 years ago, I bumped into you at the gym. Told you I was loving the box talk stuff and to keep up the great work. You were very humble, thanked me and told me to keep watching. Fast forward to the present day, and for what I see, you and this channel have really blown up, and deservedly so. Your numbers are bloody impressive. You've moved into other areas, and the respect and love you receive in the boxing community is warranted. The question is, though, and be very honest, with all the success, do you feel like a celebrity? Absolutely not. No way. No way. I'm not joking. No way. No. No, honestly, no. I'm so far away from sort of targets in my own head, targets for this channel, targets for my career. I try and separate this channel from what I do outside. So targets from there, targets from here. Not at all. Although, like even at the Floyd Mayweather thing yesterday, obviously people recognize you, which is fantastic, right? I mean, not a bad thing, and you have conversations with them. But celebrity, no chance. Original individual says, whose career has been mismanaged the most? Eubank Jr. or Kell Brook? Oh, Kell Brook easily, right? And I say that because Kell Brook's a much more talented boxer than Eubank Jr. I think Eubank Jr. has done amazingly well to even get to where he's got to. I really do believe that, right? Whereas Kell Brook should have got there and didn't stay there and didn't capitalize and didn't win more world titles and didn't make more millions. So I'm going to go for Kell Brook all day long. Mr. KW Expense says, terrible news of Katie and Jeff separating. Did you follow their story, Ade? I have no idea who Katie and Jeff are. Am I missing something here, people? Let me know, people. What am I missing? I don't know. I hope that's not a Love Island or anything like that thing, because I don't watch any of that stuff. Jordan Griffith says, how would you see a fight with Tyson Fury and Lennox Lewis, both in their prime going? Lennox Lewis, for me, is a top 10 heavyweight. I could even go lower, actually, of all time. So I would always go Lennox Lewis. It's going to be difficult for you to mention. There's only sort of a handful of heavyweights where I will say, oh, I favour that person over Lennox. I think Lennox had it all. I'm going Lennox all day long. BG London writes, message from a Wilder fan. Sometimes you don't realise your own strength until you come face to face with your greatest weakness. Fury versus Wilder 3. I like that. I like that saying. I might keep that. Sometimes you don't realise your own strength until you come face to face with your greatest weakness. That's a good one, isn't it? Fucking hell, I like that a lot. Mark Haight says, so when you're going to be hosting toe-to-toe on Sky Sports Boxing? About time they had someone on there hosting it who knows what they're on about. Who hosts it now? That girl, right? She's all right. She knows a bit. Other question is, if you could interview 3 people, non-sports people, who would it be? We know Tupac, so leave him off. Who would it be? Malcolm X, definitely. 100% Malcolm X. Who else would it be? Che Guevara. I think by the people I'm mentioning, you kind of know what I'm really like in life. And who else? Like, do I just really think I'd love a conversation with them? I'm going to go Jurgen Klopp. Even though it isn't Jurgen Klopp, it would probably be, but just because I'm a Liverpool fan, I'd like to hear what his thoughts are on just everything, just because I love him. Also, remember my prediction on Chisora versus Usyk when we spoke before Christmas. Is it so out there now with the recent events in boxing? He said Chisora beats Usyk and everyone laughed. We shall see, right? We shall see. TYZEHD says, hey, Ada, I have 2 questions for you. Khabib versus Ferguson, how do you see this playing out? Bloody hell. That fight's like 3 years in the making. It's weird. A couple of years ago, I would have gone Ferguson. Now, I'm just going Khabib because I think Khabib's just going to pick him up, throw him down. And even as good as and as agile as Ferguson is, I just don't see him getting up. because no one gets up, do they? No one gets up with Khabib. Nobody. Number two is, have you gotten any feedback on the Dylan White interview? It seems to me that you've got great chemistry with the fighters you interview. I wouldn't be surprised at all, sorry, if you'd be asked to do this more often. Best wishes from Switzerland. Oh, thank you, dude. Yeah, I did get some feedback from Sky. They did like the interview. You know what it is? Obviously, the interview got something like 1.5 million views on YouTube, which isn't any reflection on me. It's more on Dillian White. But it is a good, I think, to make the fighters feel comfortable so that they can do things like he did, which was laugh and just go a bit crazy, right? So yeah, hopefully more of those in the future. Scouting Football says, 5 fights you want to see in 2020 that aren't mega fights. I like Jacobs versus Smith, Rivas versus Ruiz, Charlo versus Derevchenko, Harrison versus Williams, and Ryder versus Munguia. Some of those are quite mega, if I'm honest with you. Charlo versus Derevchenko. I mean, do you mean mega in terms of like a blockbuster fight for casual fans as well? Then okay, yeah, fair dues. The one that springs to mind for some reason straight away for me is Jarrell Miller versus Derek Chisora. I don't know why. I think that's a fucking blockbuster. That would just be carnage. I like Kalnaki versus Andy Ruiz for some reason. I think that could be a decent little scrap that might not get the headlines, but will be good. This is kind of mega that I'm going to mention, but not mega in terms of it's not going to do amazing numbers. But Demetrius Andrade versus Charlo, that's a mega-ish fight. I like that one. I can't think of any more off the top of my head. What other ones are there? Can't think. You know what I'd like to see? I guess this is kind of a mega fight. I'd like to see Keith Thurman versus Kell Brook at 150. I think Keith is going to struggle to make 147 going by the pictures I've seen of him recently, and Kell, we know, struggles. I'd like to see that fight at 150. That'd be a good little scrap. Lewis Price says, thoughts on Josh Taylor hiring Ben Davison as his new trainer, and where would you put him pound for pound British rankings? I mean, he's right at the top. I don't know. I'm trying to think, is he number one? I mean, Tyson Fury, but he's right at the top, right? I mean, this is a unified 140-pound champion who's had some very good wins recently. So, yeah, he's right at the top. I mean, he can't be worse than number two. He can't be, surely. Surely, he must be number one, surely. I mean, Tyson Fury, AJ's got his belts back. Josh Warrington, he's right up there, right? Ben Davison, I don't know. I think McGuigan's a good trainer. I know it's like they have issues. The issues with leaving the McGuigans isn't because of Shane and his training, right? I think Carl would probably admit that as well. It's obviously what goes on behind the scenes financially. So I think McGuigan would have been a good trainer. We'll see. We'll see what Ben Davison can bring to the table. Don't know. I don't know. I think Ben's a good trainer. I think we've seen it with his time with Billy Joe Saunders and with Tyson Fury. But we'll see. I think Josh and Shane McGuigan, I mean, look, they're unified with each other. So I think it's a bad split. Boxing Nerd says, Ade, favourite drink and favourite celebration drink. Favourite drink is Jack Daniels. Favourite celebration drink is Jack Daniels. But I would go a bit higher and go single barrel Jack or something. But yeah, favourite drink is Jack Daniels. Feel free, if anyone wants to send me a case or a barrel or just a single one, I'll take it. Gideon Swaggart says, if you had 24 hours to live, where would you go? What would you do? And who would you screw? Oh boy. It's got to be Rihanna, innit? It's got to be Rihanna. She's coming with me. It's got to be Rihanna. And we're going to Cape Town. Yeah, we're going to Cape Town. Thailand was a nice country. But I think Cape Town's stunning. I really do. I think it's stunning. And we're just going to get smashed to pieces. That's it. That's it. I've never done drugs in my life, ever. Wouldn't ever, don't do drugs, people. But if you got 24 hours to live, everything's a fucking goer, innit? Everything's a fucking goer. Everything. So, yeah, 24 hours. You're going to die anyway. Fucking go out. Go out. Vroom. Ian Charles says, what's the fight you most wanted to see that never got made? 2. As a kid, Lennox Lewis versus Riddick Bowe. And as an adult, Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. And I know what people are going to say it happened. It didn't happen. Didn't happen. I'm talking about the Manny Pacquiao that wrecked Ricky Hatton and Miguel Cotto. That Pac-Man. I wanted to see that Pac-Man versus that Floyd. Didn't happen. That would have been for me, the greatest boxing match ever. Ever. Because I wanted to see if Floyd could somehow get through that whirlwind. That whirlwind did happen. Global Frank 95 says, with Fury's big win over Wilder in Vegas, where does it rank in the best performances by a British boxer away from home? And was it more impressive than his win over Klitschko? Yeah, absolutely. I remember watching that Klitschko fight and thinking, how boring is this? Yes, he got the win, but I was thinking, I was like that. This one, I was like, oh my, I was literally on my fucking feet. I was watching it standing up. And I'm not joking. Like when I'm really pumped for a fight, I can barely sit down. I don't know how people sit down calm. I can't. I was standing up watching it. So yeah, it has to be the best. I know people were talking about Lloyd Hunnigan and others, but I don't remember that. I remember this. This was the best that I can remember. And it's funny now. It's weird. People are just so all of a sudden now. Oh, Wilder's shit. Oh, look at Wilder's foot movement. Oh, Wilder's only got a right hand. People going into that fight were saying Wilder's going to knock him out. And now all of a sudden he wins and it's like they try and take some of that shine off. Don't do it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. It was an amazing performance. Struan McDonald says, how would a prime Antonio Tarver do in this light heavyweight division? I think he would run through everyone. Everyone. And I'm including Berta Biev in this. Antonio Tarver stopped Superman. Done. That's it. Stop Superman. Lawrence Mashongo says, why do you think Fury beats AJ 95% of the time? I personally think it's closer than what you think. Even more so if Fury fights the way he did against Wilder. That won't work. Yeah, Fury won't fight that way against AJ. I agree with that 100%. And if he does, I think AJ could beat him. But I just think Fury's better. That's what it is. Look, it's close. Don't get me wrong. If they were to fight 10 times, could AJ win one? Yeah, absolutely. We know he's got the power. We know he can box a lot better than Wilder. So he's definitely got those attributes. But I just think Fury's better. I think it's a close fight. And maybe I was a bit harsh on AJ saying 95% of the time there. More 70% of the time. I think I'm going sort of 70-30. But I think I would always favour Fury. And I don't say that lightly because I'm a massive AJ fan. I just think Fury's a better boxer. And it is boxing after all, and I just think Fury beats him. Lee says, Rocky, any one of them from the franchise, or Raging Bull? Ooh, I think the acting in Raging Bull, obviously Robert De Niro was a lot better, but Rocky won all day long. And for pure trash popcorn, Rocky 4. I mean, how can you not like Rocky 4? Just the soundtrack alone deserves a fucking Oscar. Come on. We've all listened to that soundtrack in the gym. Quality. Zishan Saeed says, do you think this Liverpool team is better than the Arsenal Invincibles? It's so difficult to compare, right? We are good for our era. They were good for their era. What I will say, though, and I was a big fan of that Arsenal team. I was. Even though I'm a Liverpool fan, that Arsenal team was a great team. You've got to give it to them. That team never won the Champions League. It's unbelievable, right? I think that team should have won more. I think that team should have dominated for longer. I think that team should have won 4 Premier League titles in a row. I think they should have done that. Let's see what this Liverpool team can do in the next sort of 2 years. I think they'll win the Premier League this year. Can they win the Champions League again? I don't know. But let's not forget they've got to 2 back-to-back Champions Leagues, right? They got to the Champions League final the year that Ronaldo and Gareth Bale decided to destroy us. And they won it last year. So that's something. Plus they're going to win the Premier League. Let's see what medals they can get in the next couple of seasons and then we can judge. For now, I think you still have to give it to the Invincibles, just. IAA says, is Boatsy trained by Rob McCracken as he's always in Sheffield? It's like when AJ had Tony Sims in his corner and was training in Sheffield. I don't think so. I just think the facilities in Sheffield are so good that if you can get up there and use them and take advantage of that, you do it. It's like the UFC when they have the Performance Institute. Again, so good facilities. If you can get there, get there. And I think Boatsy just knows that and always goes up there just to take advantage of the facilities. Plus, Rob McCracken, I mean, look, if you can get some information or some knowledge from Rob McCracken, soak it in. We're talking about a guy that has done, obviously, this stuff with AJ, done his stuff with Carl Froch, former boxer himself, done his stuff with the amateur setup. I mean, soak that knowledge in if you can. So I guess that's why he's doing it. Bad Nasher says, is there any point in boxing belts? Absolutely. No, there's always a point, right? Always a point. I mean, that's the aim, to get those belts. Even I was speaking to a boxer actually in South Africa, and although we laugh about those international and regular belts, I mean, the doors it opens for them. I mean, he was talking about the doors that those international and regular belts have opened for him in order to get on the world scene, in order to be recognized, in order for people to come up to him and give him applause and pats on the back. So even those belts are important. Obviously, we as hardcore fans or semi-hardcore fans don't like them, but those belts are so important for some of these boxers to take a step up or take a foot up. So yeah, belts are very important. Jake Aqua says, hi Addy, do you think more boxers should follow in the footsteps of Vidal Riley in terms of building up a YouTube following while his career is still young? I'm pretty sure he has around 1 million subs. I don't even follow him, does he? It's important. It's important, right? I do feel like his career, though, is somewhat stalled while he's been doing the KSI, Jake Paul, Logan Paul thing, whatever. Like, how many fights has he had? Like, this is the period, I think, where you have sort of 10 to 15 fights in a very short burst. How many fights has Vidal Riley had? Let's have a quick look, actually. I have no idea. Vidal Riley box rec. Let's have a quick look. 4 fights since the 30th of November 2018. Yeah. I don't know. I guess he wants to be a YouTuber more than a boxer. This is the problem, right? Because, and look, people might say, oh, that's 4 fights in a period of a year and a half isn't bad. At that level, people are fighting sort of once every couple of months just to get as many fights in as you can. Again, he's making good money, I guess, by being, is it KSI's like boxing trainer? And I think that's the issue. So yeah, I do think more boxers should follow in his steps and becoming a YouTube person, right? Making that money, but not to the point what he's doing where it's clearly affecting his boxing career. I mean, would you want to be a YouTube guy or a boxer? What do you want to be? Ash I says, you've had an amazing year career-wise. It's been great to see. How do you plan on building upon the year you've had? By not stopping, if I'm honest with you. I just done my new show reel, which I'm sure you've probably seen. I sent that off to companies all over the world. Literally, I have passport, I will travel. I'm not sort of thinking I've done TalkSport, I've done Sky, I've done CNN. We're cool. We're not cool. We need to do more. We need to do more. And it's not even a financial chase. I mean, that always helps, right, to get paid. But it's more a case of just wanting to work for these channels and just ticking the boxes. Again, there is no journalism degree. And it's funny because the guy that hired me for TalkSport, I told him that 2 or 3 days ago. And he couldn't believe it. It was like, what? Don't tell anyone. Telling the world. There is no journalism degree. Mark Turner says, what are your thoughts on how a fight between Fury versus AJ goes tactically? Who wins and how? I've spoken about this before. Tactically, it's not as easy to predict as other fights, just because in their last 2 fights, we've seen different styles, right? AJ completely switched it up for the Ruiz rematch, and Fury completely switched it up for the Wilder rematch. So we don't know which AJ and which Fury we're going to see. So it is a good fight. I would favour Fury, but I mean, I think we do forget sometimes that AJ does have the power to put your lights out. And he can box. He can box. Is it as fluid and as natural as Tyson Fury? No, but he can box, right? He can hit and not be hit. And I think we saw that a bit in the Ruiz second fight. So it's an intriguing matchup, but I would favour Fury. Gabriel says, if Fury was to fight a prime David Price, who do you think would win? Considering David Price back in his day was a beast. I don't even know who or what a prime David Price was. I mean, who did he beat? Like, you know, is there anyone on that resume? I mean, Tyson Fury would beat him every single day of the week, and as they say, twice on Sundays. EO the meme says, when is the meet and greet, please? Organise it already. And the meet and greet is in May, people. It's being organised. It's not by myself. It's happening Box Park, Wembley. It's going to go down. It's going to go down. We're doing it. Yeah, it's going to go down. No, I mean, it's going to go down. I do that face because I'm scared that no one's going to turn up. I have to be honest with you. I can't lie to you. In my head, I've been thinking, how many people are really going to turn up to this meet and greet? Is 200, 250? I'm not sure. I would like to think that many could turn up, but I don't know. Mike Like says, would you like to have kids and be married? If so, how many kids, and would you train them early in boxing and make them beastly fighters, sorry. I would love to have kids and be married, like now. I am 38, so it's got to happen now. And they ain't doing no boxing. I mean, I'd like for them to do boxing, but not to become boxers. Like, do boxing in the gym, head guards, a bit of sparring, keep fit, etc. Defense, know your stuff. I think I'd prefer to let them do jiu-jitsu, if I'm honest with you, right? I just don't want my kids to have any head injuries or anything like that. I'll be scared. I am PK13 says, would you support the addition of a new weight class called super heavyweight at or around £250? Nah. Too many weight classes already. Nah. I wouldn't. I know what you mean, because it does feel like we're in the land of the giants right now, right? I mean, guys fighting at 271 pounds. I mean, we thought Foreman was big. George Foreman, what was George Foreman's weight? Let's have a quick look. Sorry about this. Just want to double check, because everyone used to think George Foreman was the biggest man around. George Foreman would be just a normal heavyweight nowadays. Let's have a quick look. Come on, internet. Fucking hell. I'm not even got his weight here. I can't even find it. But basically, what I'm trying to get at. Oh wait, have I found it? No, I'm not even found it. Sorry. I'm trying to get that he wasn't as big as some of these monsters now. But no, I wouldn't separate it at all. FC says, who do you think wins out of Crawford and Spence, and why? This is the one, innit? This is the $1 million question, or even the $1 billion question. I like Crawford. I just do. I think Crawford is the better boxer. I think Spence is obviously the bigger and the stronger and a good boxer as well. But I think there's a bit of grit and a bit of nastiness in Crawford that we've not really seen yet. I would favour Crawford. I mean, if you're going to argue in favour of Spence, I'm not going to argue with you, because both of them are great. But me, I'm going Crawford all day, every day. Not twice on Sundays, though. Sean Clark says, love the chair. I have the same. Very articulate, Ade. Thank you. The funny thing is, I've got obviously that brown one over there, Chesterfield. I've got a brown one over there that most of the guests sit in. And that is an expensive chair, people. I'm pointing because it's just there. This one is actually quite cheap. So this one's almost a fake, if I'm honest with you, in the Chesterfield world. That one over there, though, is real deal. Coil sprung seat, horsehair, but literally the real deal. That one over there probably cost, I could probably sell that one over there for about 500. Whereas this one, 100 £100 maybe. That's the real deal, that one. And my guests always moan about not sitting in the green chair. Mate, you're sitting on fucking royalty over there. Be happy. Avi Skull says, do you agree with the Wilder beats AJ, Fury beats Wilder, and AJ beats Fury consensus? I used to say that. So that's my consensus. Now I don't. And that's just because I think Fury beats AJ. But that was my consensus before. But boxing changes so much, right? Who knows what we're going to be saying in a couple of months. But I think 4 or 5 months ago, people were saying that. Now I think people are changing, and I'm changing as well, unfortunately. Another question from Avi Skulls. Which of the following unification fights will we see in 2020? Joshua versus Fury. Look, I won't rule out Wilder, Ice and Fury, I won't rule it out. But if Joshua gets past Pulev and Fury gets past Wilder, I can see that happening. I can. Back end of 2020, I can see it happening. Errol Spence versus Crawford, no. Josh Taylor versus Ramirez, yes. Warrington versus Stevenson, yes. Canelo versus GGG, yes. I think all of them. I think all of them will happen, apart from Spence versus Crawford, which is a shame, because that would be the one that I would more like to see out of all of them, if I'm honest with you. Avi Skull says, do you think that Eddie Hearn deserves more appreciation from boxing? The amount of hustle the guy does is just ridiculous. Yeah, his work ethic is just ridiculous. I mean, even if you don't like the man, I get it, but just appreciate the work ethic. It's crazy. I mean, when do his wife and kids see him? He just seems to always be on the road, always doing something. It's amazing. And again, I guess he loves his job, right? Once you love what you do, you continue to do it no matter what. And he clearly loves what he does. Fans over the world says if the Zone enters the UK market, which they will, where would that leave Eddie Hearn? Do you think Sky would continue boxing if Hearn left? And who would they replace him with? A couple of good questions in there. Do I think Sky would continue boxing? Well, it's all down to Matchroom, right? It's all down to Matchroom. Matchroom have come out. I say Matchroom. Eddie Hearn has come out and said that they are renegotiating their deal with Sky. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, people. I don't know. We have to wait to see how this plays out. I have no idea. If Matchroom don't renegotiate and re-up their deal with Sky, I can see Sky just saying, fuck boxing. I can honestly see it. Or they might go the MTK Global route and just sign a deal with MTK Global, who have quite a lot of fighters. I don't know. It might be that. That's definitely an option. Another question says, how did you build yourself up to get to the Sky Sports job? Basically, what was your previous experience to get it? I'm guessing you're new to the channel. I've just done a load of stuff, basically. A load of free stuff early on, and then I've been all over the world and done some stuff. I've done stuff for CNN, I've done stuff for ESPN, I've done stuff for Fox. But you know, I do think this is the reason I got the Sky job. This chair here, this talking to the camera, this basically got me all the opportunities I just spoke about. But yeah, I've done quite a bit of work and then I went for Sky. So it definitely wasn't a jump from here to Sky. No. Yusuf Patel says, do you know what the pay-per-view numbers were for Fury versus Wallin and Schwartz? Good question. I don't. I did hear that Fury versus Schwartz was something like 50,000 buys in the UK. Something ridiculously low like that. I haven't heard about Otto Wallin. I think that might have been a bit higher, but nothing great. So not great numbers. Do you think, sorry, another question from Yusuf. Do you think MTK Global can take over boxing in the future? I personally think they can, as they have many world level fighters and also many prospects. Absolutely not. No one promoter can take over boxing. Remember, we thought Al Heyman and PBC were going to do this when they signed everyone, and they signed names. They didn't just have numbers. They were good names. Even they couldn't do it. No one can do it. No chance. LCC Manzansi says, hey, Ade, why is Fury considered the lineal champion when it is a fact that he tested positive for PEDs? Why does that win still stand? He didn't test positive for PEDs after Klitschko. Yeah, I think we're getting it wrong. He tested, I think there was an issue with his fight against Christian Hamer. I could be wrong. What he did test for after Klitschko, though, was cocaine. So, yeah, that's why it still stands. Mr. Ish T says, can Liverpool dominate world football for the coming years? They've also just had a new huge deal with Nike as well. I'm a Liverpool fan. Can they dominate for a few years? No, they can't. Right? It's cycles. This is our cycle right now. Liverpool have to win as much as they can in the next 2 or 3 years because someone else will have another cycle. Remember when Mourinho's Chelsea, the 04-05 Mourinho's Chelsea, I thought they were going to dominate forever. They didn't. They won a few trophies in I think 2 or 3 years. Mourinho, it just cycles. So Liverpool need to fucking win as much as they can now. Deppen Rock says, does Dylan White watch your channel, or was he aware of your channel before you interviewed him on Sky? The reason I asked is because he seemed very comfortable around you, so assume that either he is not aware or he appreciates your honesty, opinion, constructive criticism. Keen to know if you ever discuss topics around B-sample, fighting top 10 guys with him away from the Sky cameras. Good question. I don't know if he is aware. I don't think he is. His manager was. I spoke to his manager off camera, and we did speak about those subjects. Dylan White fighting top 10 guys, and his manager was open in saying that we have tried to get those fights. We have tried to fight Luis Ortiz. We have tried to fight Andy Ruiz. Who else did he mention? Anthony Joshua rematch. So they've tried all these things. And again, it makes me feel, when speaking to like people like his manager, that we know so little about what goes on behind the scenes. As regards to the drug testing, he did speak about the UK situation and all being a stitch up, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, it's difficult for me to go delve in and say, oh, I think this, I think that. I just kind of accept what he's saying. And I think that was prior to the interview, so I wanted to keep my head on the interview. And then everyone just left after the interview, so I didn't really get a chance to speak and move on. But I did realise I was there for Sky, not for Boxing Talk with Ade. So at the end of the day, I had to be respectful of that. If I was there for this channel, maybe it's a bit different, but you're there for Sky. And all it takes is one phone call and you're never doing the Sky interview again. So you got to be careful. Damian Brooks says, thanks, Ade. I love what you're doing. Can you add UFC discussion to your talk? Because UFC is getting more momentum around the world and getting more popular. Yeah, I do want to do a bit of UFC. Remember I said I'm going to change this from Boxing Talk with Ade to Ade Talks. A lot of people weren't happy about it. But change is good. Come on, guys. Change is good. So we'll see. Base the Kid says, I got a bit of a different one. Prime Mike Tyson versus Prime Alexander Povetkin. Oh, Mike Tyson by destruction. By destruction. And I say that, I know how, like when I speak to some friends and I say, who's the best heavyweight of all time? They always say Ali or Tyson. So I know to the casual fans, Mike Tyson was literally the second greatest boxer ever to live. I know that's not true. But Prime Mike, Povetkin ain't getting out. Povetkin's not getting past midway rounds. He's not getting past midway. He's not. Jim McDonald says anal or vagina? Vagina. Ronan Gibbons says, what are your thoughts on T and Booth's YouTube channel being closed? Yeah, it's ridiculous. Some of the stuff that's on YouTube that I see on YouTube and his channel's being closed because what? I do think that he overstepped it sometimes. I think it's you guys' fault, you were egging him on, but he overstepped it. Some of the Michelle Joy Phelps stuff, some of the stuff about Terence Crawford's wife, a few other bits as well, but he's a comedian. That's what comedians do. So I didn't take him seriously at all. And I think I had Umar Ahmed on here who basically just told me it's all not real. And that kind of made me feel like, oh. So, yeah. Chris Berry says, is it hard keeping up with demand to do videos in YouTube world? Example, you've had a bad day or bad news and you still need to post a video for your fans. That's such a good point and no one talks about this. Dude, I struggle to do the videos nowadays. Like, when I say struggle, I mean struggle. I don't know what's happened, but it takes me, like before I could literally sit down, put the mic on, one take, boom, go. And easy video to make. Now, I'm not even bullshitting you. Sometimes it takes me 30 goes just to get the first 30 seconds out. I struggle. I don't know what's going on. I think I've got so much going on outside, in my outside personal life that I just sometimes struggle to do these videos. Like normally, you guys know what I'm normally like fucking 20 videos a week guy. Now I'm like 5 or 6. Yeah, struggling, man. Another question from Chris says, are you changing to sport, films, TV, etc. instead of just boxing? That's what I want to do. My dream is always to be like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's my fucking hero for all this shit. And he literally obviously started in doing MMA and then he literally went everywhere. That's the plan, 100%. Where is the best place you've ever been abroad? Cape Town or Thailand? Although I do love Nigeria. I'm Nigerian. I lived in Nigeria for 2 years, but Cape Town or Thailand, definitely. CRB says, are you coming over for Wilder Fury 3? Yes, not missing that one. P.S. Don't you think your guest joke he made about Wilder has 45 kids was out of the line? It was on the border. I know what you mean. It was on the border. We spoke about it off camera, me and my friend James Green. And for those of you that don't know what he's talking about, James Green made a joke saying Wilder has 45 kids, when I think Wilder in fact has, I don't know how many he's got, 7 or 8. But yeah, I understand. Chris Berry says, when is the merchandise coming out? I know a printing company can get in touch for you. Check your emails, t-shirt example. Yeah, I saw that. I'm actually sitting down with a girl tomorrow and designing a proper logo. I don't just want to stick Boxing Talk with Ade on it. Fucking, I don't know, send it to her printers in China and just make money from it. I actually want to be somewhat creative with it. So I'm actually sitting down with a few different graphic designers, trying to design good ideas and good logos and see what happens. But yeah, for now, it's on the back burner until I get a good logo. The last thing I want to do is literally just stick Boxing Talk with Ade on the front and just sell it. I think that's just unimaginative. I feel like I'm cheating doing that, so I'm not doing that. Wazza A says, situation, you and 4 other boxers, past or present, versus group of 20 people in a street fight. Which 4 boxers would you choose to have your back so you win the street fight? I want people that are 1 can short of a 6-pack. So I want Mike Tyson, I want fucking Derek Chisora, I want Dillian White, and I want Vitaly Klitschko because he can do a bit of kickboxing as well. Those are the 4 boxers. You're just not fucking with me, are you? I go to any club, you ain't fucking with that 4. No chance. Chris Berry says, have you actually boxed, trained as a boxer, or had an exhibition type fight. When I was young, I did actually box. I boxed for Newham Boys Boxing Club in Plaistow. I point over there because Plaistow is kind of around there. It literally was about a minute from my mum's house. She wasn't happy about it. My brother actually boxed properly as well. So you just go and follow your brother, don't you? That's what I did anyway. So yeah, I did box a bit. That was for about a year, and then I just stopped and concentrated on athletics, football, and basketball. I didn't box again after that. But I do hit the pads routinely a lot. I think you've got to. I don't know. Nah, that's bullshit. You don't have to. I can talk about boxing without doing that, but there is something about understanding the game. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's move on. Darrell Carter says, now that you're at Sky, can you please find the AJ versus Miller? Gloves are off. That is my mission. That is my mission, to find AJ versus Miller, gloves are off, and upload it and get like 1 million views, because it will 10 million views. You'll get a massive amount of views. Guys, that is it. We are done. Peace. Guys, sorry, it's me again. I'm back. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Also, please like and share the videos. It really does help the channel a lot. And if you want to support the channel, I do have a Patreon account. The link is in the description. All right, I'm done. Peace.